Hello, everyone. This is Michael, and today we're going to take a look at Mike Portnoy being a total boss on the drums for about the next 45 minutes or so. Mike Portnoy, of course, is the legendary drummer, known mostly known for his stint with the progressive metal act Dream Theater, which he played in for a good 25 years or so, and rejoined recently for their latest album, Parasomnia. But he's played on over 100 albums, including with bands such as Transatlantic, Sons of Apollo, Flying Colors, Liquid Tension Experiment, Neil Morse Band, Winery Dogs, and others who I cannot recall right now. I own more music by Mike Portnoy than any other artist, and that includes over 30 hours of live concert coverage. I have parsed those 30 hours of live concerts and pulled the dozen or so examples that I think best illustrate Portnoy's badassery. So this first clip is taken from a 1993 DVD recorded in Tokyo, Japan, called Live Images and Words Live in Tokyo. Interestingly, despite Portnoy being involved in a genre, progressive rock, where the artist frequently will engage in lengthy solos during live performances, there's very few instances of Portnoy doing drum solos. He used to play them pretty regularly with Dream Theater in the 90s, which is what this clip is taken from, 1993. But since the turn of the century, he very rarely performs drum solos, as far as I can tell. I like this clip because it shows not just his ability to pound the drums in amazing fashion, but he's also a frontman and enjoys being the center of attention. So let's check out this clip. One truth that is indisputable that I realized as I watched these clips of Mike Portnoy is his consistent excellence. Every show, it seems like, every song, every show, he's just an excellent live performer, both technically in his ability to play the drums, and then also his live his stage energy, or like I say, he's somewhat of a front man and he's very charismatic on stage. This next clip is taken from a 2007 concert in Santiago. It's on Dream Theater's official bootleg release called Santiago, Chile 12605. So I guess it was from 2005, not 2007. This is, in many ways, there's nothing especially notable about this clip, but I like it because they have a lot of good angles of Portnoy playing the drums, and it just shows, even just a normal song where he's not being featured or anything, dude is just killing it on the drums. And this show was recorded in front of, I believe, 45,000 people, which is one of the largest, maybe the largest audience that Dream Theater has ever played to. And the South American crowd is very typically, high energy. Those are some of the most impressive crowds that you'll ever find. And you'll also notice that Dream Theater guitarist John Petrucci is pretty badass on this clip as well. So let's check it out. I mentioned earlier that Mike has been a member of the band Transatlantic, and this next clip is taken from that band's 2002 show at London's Shepherd's Bush Empire, which looks like a fantastic theater to see a live show. Transatlantic at that time was touring in support of their album Whirlwind, and this clip is taken from the song "Is It Really Happening," which is one of my absolute favorite jams, not just by Transatlantic, by any band. I love the jam on this song. For those who don't know, Transatlantic is a super group. You got Mike Portnoy on drums, Neil Morris on keyboards and vocals, Roy Stolt of Flower Kings fame on guitars and vocals, and Pete Travas of Marillion fame on bass. We'll also see Daniel Gilden Lowe, who is the primary creative force and lead singer of Pain of Salvation, as an additional musician here. When Transatlantic is hitting, they are just a super impressive band, and this is a good example of them doing that, and Mike being a total boss on the drums. We're going to stay with that same show for our next clip, which again is taken from Transatlantic's live DVD, The World Tour. As you saw from the last clip, this is a very high quality video, and this DVD is one of my absolute favorites in my entire catalog because it's got a nearly 3-hour show, and the band is just, the set list is fantastic, the band is on fire, the venue is beautiful. It's a terrific, terrific DVD. This next clip we're going to be looking at, it's taken from the 28-minute epic transatlantic epic Duel with the Devil. And while I mentioned earlier that Mike doesn't really do drum solos anymore, that doesn't mean that they don't work in opportunities for him to kind of steal the spotlight for a while. And this is one such example. I'm also going to include a little bit of the intro and a little bit of the outro to show how Mike is not just a drummer, but he's somewhat of a conductor up on stage and a bit of a lead man in doing it. So again, let's check out the clip.
Everybody had a doubt, somebody tried to pull me under. Every time I felt the strain, someone sent a sense of wonder. Everybody walked the hard road, in the dark they felt the pride. Everybody heard the thunder, no one ever read the signs. You walk away with nowhere to go. For another day, turn the lights down low. I never know when you walk away. When you walk away, with nowhere to go. Nowhere to go. Oh, come on.
One thing that I really like about Mike is that in addition to being just a badass drummer, composer, frontman, he's also a fan of music and other bands, and partly as a result of that, he's performed with many other musicians, including band members from bands like Yes, Marillion, Queensryche, Focus, and many, many more that I can't remember right now. This next clip, we're going to see, again, the band Transatlantic performing with Steve Hackett of Genesis, doing Genesis' early 70s prog classic, Return of the Giant Hegweed. This was a song that the band had been doing as a fun encore during this world tour, this 2010 world tour. And in this instance, it's Steve Hackett joins them on stage to perform the song. Now, this is again taken from that same DVD. However, it's from a different show. It's not from the London show. It's from a different show. And it's just him having fun playing with somebody who he loved as a teenager. And it's also, again, got him just kicking ass on the drums. So let's check it out.
Mighty hogweed is avenged. Human bodies soon will know of anger. Kill them with your hogweed hairs. Heracleum, Manzi, Gazi, Annie. Ready? Thank you, London! Mr. Steve Hackett!
One thing that I find interesting is that, as we've seen in these last few clips, when the band Transatlantic is playing in Europe, they're playing to these big theaters and even arenas. And progressive rock bands do really well in Europe. Steven Wilson plays at 20,000 seat arenas. Transatlantic plays in these big theaters and 5,000 seat arenas and things like that. Those same bands come over to the United States and they're playing much smaller venues. This next clip is a good example of this. This is Neil Morse in 2010, touring in support of his Testimony 2 CD. And the show was recorded at the Whittier Theater in Los Angeles. It's only a few months after these shows that we just saw with these big audiences. And in this case, the Whittier Theater holds what looks like about 250 people. It looks like an ordinary movie theater or maybe a high school auditorium. And it's just interesting to me that these prog bands are much more popular in Europe than they are in the States. I also want to note that this is taken from this mini box set called Testimony 2 Live in Los Angeles. And I want to note this because I bought this off Radiant Records, which is Neil Morse's online website. And it's a 3 CD, 2 DVD set. It has the entire 3-hour concert on both audio and DVD. It also has a tour documentary. And I believe when I purchased this, I got it for less than $10. Radiant Records, Neil Morse's online site, often has fabulous deals. And if anybody is a physical media fan out there and a fan of any bands that Neil Morse is in, check out that website because you can often find some fantastic deals. On stage, you're going to see a lot of musicians, and this is just another example of Portnoy just being a complete and total badass, and you can see the other members of the band working off him in this next clip. So let's check it out.
The God of the whole universe sent his son to live the curse and live his
progressive rock often gets accused of lacking a sense of humor, and there's some valid reasons for that. So this next clip is kind of a good example of a progressive rock band just having fun. This is again from the Transatlantic show, 2010 show in London. It's going to start with Neil Moore saying, this is during their song Stranger in Your Soul. And it starts with Neil Moore saying, this is the part where everything goes absolutely crazy. And he's basically right. And then he would immediately abandon his keyboards, run over, and seamlessly take over the drums without the music stopping. And then at that point, you never knew what was going to happen, because Mike Portnoy was going to be in charge, and he was just going to make it up each night. In this instance, we're just going to see he goes crowd surfing while the band keeps jamming. And then when he comes back, he takes over the drums again, and then he and Neil Moore share some death growls together. And it's just a good example of showing that these guys who are very serious, accomplished, virtuoso musicians also just enjoy having fun, which you don't see a lot in the prog rock world. So let's check it out.
This is the part where everybody goes completely insane.
There is a separate and distinct release from that tour called More Is Never Enough. And this is just like the other package we looked at from the Los Angeles show. It's 3 CDs, 2 DVDs, and available on that Radiant record site I mentioned. And I believe I got this one for less than $20. This is another clip taken from the Stranger in Your Soul jam, where where Neil Morse takes over drums and Portnoy goes and does whatever he does. In this case, he leads the band in a jam of that traditional garage rock classic, Smoke on the Water by Deep Purple. And then when he gets back on the drum, Mike and Neil again engage in some death growls with Daniel Gilden Lowe joining in this time. So let's check it out.
tender song for you. Very loving song. Very romantic song.
It scares me when he says stuff like that.
Oh, I swear it'll be clean, Neil, I promise. Just before we go, need to bless you with this one.
I told you it was scary.
I think we need one more of those, and then we'll move on.
Mike Portnoy, ladies and gentlemen.
Okay, back to your regularly scheduled program.
1, 2, 3. Whatever you look.
And here we have yet another clip from that same tour. And rather than going crowd surfing or playing Smoke on the Water, this time Portnoy decides to challenge the crowd to break the decibel record at the Cologne Theater that they were playing at that night. And this is an instance of Mike not only having fun and just kind of, enjoying himself on stage, but also being that charismatic frontman that I talk about.
Those things might be cool, but as far as I'm concerned, the coolest thing I've ever seen in Switzerland is when you do this. That is awesome. That is awesome. Bring it down. You see there's a decibel meter over there. I don't know if you're aware of that. See right now, like I'm speaking at 96 decibels. Watch this. Hey, motherfucker! See 104. See that? Now, let's take this Swiss thing. I don't know what it's called. Does this thing have a name? Well, whatever this thing is called, let's see if we can bring it up to 105. You ready? Here we go. 1, 2, 3. Here we go! Whoa! That went to 110. That was the loudest thing I've seen in here. The police may be showing up at any moment.
And finally, one last clip from these kind of stranger in your soul jams. This time, Mike, after abandoning his drum kit, decides to conduct the band in a sort of ad hoc jam where he plays conductor for the entire group. Again, just silly fun, and I like seeing these guys, just enjoying themselves on stage. It's pretty cool to see. We're now going to return to that 2010 show in Los Angeles with Neil Morse. And this is a clip taken from the 18-minute song Seeds of Gold. And it's another example of just what I call that consistent excellence from Mike Portnoy. I do want to mention a couple other things. You'll see at the beginning of this clip Neil Morse engaging in a very tasteful guitar solo. And Neil Morse is known as a composer, a singer, songwriter, keyboard player, but he's also very accomplished on the guitar, as you'll see here. In fact, all the musicians on stage, even though most of them are relative unknowns compared to names like Mike Portnoy and Neil Morse, all of these guys are very accomplished, and it's just cool to see. I also want to note that Portnoy's drum kit has only one bass drum and one, instead of 4 like when he has with Dream Theater, and only one snare drum, unlike when he has 3 with Dream Theater. In fact, I'd say his kit is about 1/3 the size of his big, massive Dream Theater kit. And it's just interesting that it shows he doesn't need to have, you know, the biggest drum kit in the world to still be a world-class drummer, just kicking ass in every way imaginable. Final clip taken from this 2010 Los Angeles show, during which the band would play the entirety of Neil Morse's album Sola Scriptura. And this is another example of where we have the band engaged in a really cool jam, and then there's an opportunity for Mike to kind of go off on the drums within the song structure. And I just love this jam. I think it's great. Hope you enjoy it. We're now going to move to the year 2016, and we're going to head over to Tilburg, the Netherlands, at a famous venue called Popodium 13, and I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. For some reason, I own a large number of live DVDs that were recorded in Tilburg, the Netherlands, and based on the commentary during the concerts, Tilburg seems to be a place that's just rabid for progressive rock music. In this case, the Neil Morse band was touring in support of my favorite release by Neil Morse, which is The Similitude of a Dream. During this tour, the band would play the entirety of The Similitude of a Dream, which is a 2-hour set by itself. And then for the encore, in typical prog rock fashion, they would do a full 30-minute set as the encore that included the song Author of Confusion. And this song has a segment where, again, they had built in an opportunity for Mike to kind of take the spotlight for a minute and really show off what he can do. And I think it's just amazing.
Never find their place. Author of confusion, your aim is
In addition to being a wannabe frontman, Mike is also a wannabe lead singer. Now, Mike is not a super accomplished vocalist. However, he is a capable vocalist and will often contribute backup vocals and harmonies live. And it's a core part of what he contributes to the bands. And the Neil Morse band in particular likes everybody to sing. Neil Morse sings. Eric Gillette, the guitarist, sings. Oh, I'm forgetting the keyboardist's name. He sings now. And in this clip, we actually get to see Mike doing some lead vocal work. And I wanted to include that just to show his entire repertoire. One thing that I do think is interesting is if you get the deluxe edition of The Similitude of a Dream, it includes a documentary about the recording of the album. And it has a clip where Mike comes in the morning and he says to Neil, he's going, I got this vocal melody, and he got it specifically for him to sing, and he doesn't have any words to it. He just has a melody, and he sings it for Neil. He's like ba 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 ba, and then Neil Morse went and wrote lyrics for it, and then this clip is what you get as the end result of that, and I just think that's pretty cool. So let's check it out.
Around, you're lost, but you could still be found. What makes you think that you could really stay? Would you really stay anyway? Come back to who you are. Let's hit the road. What makes you better than a song? You think you know what you are wrong? Come back and make yourself a better pay. What you say anyway. This isn't who you are. Let's smoke a bowl. I won't go with you. I have made up my mind. Something better awaits. Worth all you'll leave behind. Draw the Scalpers on my blind. Whack jobs with you, I got no time. Crazy otherwise, but people say I'll be on my way anyway. We'll see you later days. Come on, let's hit the road. I won't go with you. Can't you see that you're blind? You should come with me. Don't be fooled, you're not fine. Draw the line.
Before we get to our penultimate clip, I do encourage you to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel so that I can continue to provide quality content on the music that so many of us love. This next clip is one of my very favorites. It's taken from the Dream Theater album live, or Dream Theater DVD live at Budokan, recorded in 2004. This is an excerpt from the song Beyond This Life from the Dream Theater album Scenes from a Memory. Beyond This Life is already a 10-minute song, so it's a significant length to begin with. But in this instance, Dream Theater stretched it out to a full 20 minutes. And a core part of that additional 10 minutes is just a jam. And a core part of that jam is Mike on the drums doing a very cool call and response with Dream Theater keyboardist extraordinaire Jordan Rudess. And I just absolutely go crazy for this jam in general, but for that call and response section in particular. I also like at the end, you'll see the other members of the band, John Young on bass and John Petrucci on guitar, they're kind of off to the side watching Jordan and Mike, and then they start adding their little bits, and then they all kind of come together, and the jam is building and building, and it crescendos, and then it builds until it transitions back into the main part of the Beyond This Life song. This is awesome. I love it. I hope you do too. I'm sorry, but that's just badass. And I honestly wish Dream Theater and other bands would include room in their sets to stretch out and have these sort of ad hoc jams where, it's not just them running through their songs note for note the way they were recorded on the album version. Most bands these days, when they perform live in concert, it's like a greatest hits playlist, and it's just one song after the other that sounds, it's performed pretty much exactly the way it sounds on the album. I really like these jams, and I miss the day when bands would engage in this kind of stuff a lot. All right, I'll get off my soapbox. This is the final clip, the one clip to rule them all. If I had only one clip to show someone to illustrate the greatness of Mike Portnoy, the drummer, this is the clip that I would show them. This is taken from a fairly famous Dream Theater show recorded in 2000 at the Rosemont Theater in Manhattan, New York, when they were touring in support of the Scenes from a Memory tour. They performed Scenes from Memory, the album, in its entirety, and this clip is taken from the final part of the final song from Scenes from a Memory, One Last Time. And what we're going to see here is the song, the song ends with this kind of slow outro. It goes on and it allows the band to kind of build it as it goes, where everybody else is kind of playing a general rhythm, and then Portnoy's drums are the real feature of what's going on here. And man, he is just killing it from beginning to end. I do have to warn, the video is not the greatest, and you can tell that it was recorded using like Apple's Pro Tools back in 2000. And Portnoy, in addition to being a drummer, a singer, a frontman, a composer, is also apparently a video editor, because he did the video editing on this DVD back in the year 2000. All right. I just think this clip is fantastic, and I wanted to end it with this. I appreciate everybody's time. Thank you for spending time with us here. I hope you like this last clip.